I like the attack. I like a low watt amp because of the character. You always get, you're using different tubes, so it's usually like a 6V6 tube or an EL84. I like high powered amps like an old Marshall Plexi because it's an EL34. And they both have a different character. What a Marshall does, a small amp doesn't do, and what a small amp does, the Marshall can't do. So I always blend the two. I love low gain amps because you hear the characteristics of the guitar. Every guitar you plug in is going to sound different because you're not beating the hell out of, you know, the sound with gain. My goal is this, whether I step on stage or whether I go into the studio, my initial rock tone is AC/DC, which is an old Marshall. With the help of a little pedal, which is either a Bad Monkey or something like that, I want to go from AC/DC to Van Halen. So basically, in a nutshell, those are the two tones. Everything else in between or above and beyond is I get from my volume tone because I turn down a lot. Sometimes I'll go for the high gain and then turn it down because it has a different clean character. Everybody wants to have it in an amp. Let's have an amp with 2 channels. Let's have an amp with 3 channels. Let's have an amp with 4 channels. And realistically, when you put that much components into one box, there's always a compromise. When you have like a 1-channel amp, an amp that does one thing, for me, that works for me because I'll use an overdrive pedal to get something else, and then I'll use my volume to get a clean tone. If I notice that when my tone is clean, people say my playing's better. But I don't think my playing's better. I think they can just hear every note I played. When you use a lot of gain, there's a lot of room for error, but even when you play it clean, it's not going to sound as articulate because it's all mushy and hidden, like covered up by the wall of gain. A lot of people don't even realize that the guitar sounds different whether you pick it here or here. A high gain amp will hide that. If you use low output pickups and a nice amp, when you turn down, it's going to clean up. It's going to sound beautiful. A lot of, when you use a high gain amp, and you use a high output pickup, and when you turn down, it gets all masked and warm, and people are like, oh, I got to put that capacitor between my volume and my tone knob so that, you know, when I turn down, I'm like, no, you don't. Get a better amp. The cool thing about this little monster here is that it actually, because it's a small amp, and it's, you know, people say it's a bedroom amp, people say it's a practice amp, or whatever you want to call it. It's really doing its job as a small amp, because even if you took an 18-watt amp, it has to be on 10 to do anything, to respond the way we're talking. But then it's not bedroom volume anymore, because even 18 watts, you know, it's going to have people knocking on your door. This thing does it at a low volume, which is amazing. I love the Mini. To me, it sounds like Communication Breakdown. It sounds like, you know, Jimmy Page on the first Led Zeppelin record.